Alright, so everyone has that one spot that is always good for one kill. Always good for one. I can guarantee my team 1 round a half. As long as they come to my site, I can get my team 1 kill. Alright, they went to the other site. That's what we're going over today though. I'm going to share with you the 20 spots that I use that are always good for at least 1 kill. For all of the YouTube naysayers, by the way, I'm an immortal ranked player and these constantly work. So get out of my comments with the this wouldn't work versus high rated players. They work every time versus good players. Let's get into it though, but before we do, here's a quick word from one of our SkillCapped.com subscribers.
And my first rank was Gold 1. At the middle of March, I think, I got Diamond 1. I just watched the video, I tried to implement it in game. If I don't get it right the first time, I watch the video again. I just do it multiple times, so it stays with me. With crossword placement I got, and I learned from SkillCapped, I literally climbed. I was in 1v3 on Haven on B side planted. I just picked, I didn't move a crosshair an inch, 0, and it was only headshot. And now I got freaking immortals in my lobbies against me, and I have a gold teammate. It's so hard, but it's hard. They're pretty good.
Now, I just wanted to throw in a quick disclaimer before we get into the video. These angles are incredible, but it's pretty important you know how and when to use them. If you're just playing an off angle and you get double swung, you're probably just going to get traded. Like I mentioned, some of these angles are good for 1 to 2 kills, and you'll find a lot of success using them. But if you're just trying to force an off angle versus 2 breach flashes, a skywolf, a silver recon, and an omen blind, you're going to lose. I know, I hate that you have to think when you play Valorant, but that's just the price you gotta pay for a couple of free kills. Let's get straight into it though, starting out with spot number 1. This is actually on bind, and the only thing that you need to be careful of for this sort of thing is flashes and drones. This off angle is near perfect. While players are afraid to peek a 50-50, you'll be in the perfect position to pick up 1 kill and likely more. This is even better if you combo this with a player in the left corner to play off of. This way, the first player will get a kill and then run away, and as they try to trade him out, the second player picks up 1, and then suddenly you've pretty much won the round. We'll probably go map by map for this, since that makes the most sense. This trap setup is actually just right around the corner from the first one. All you need to do is have some sort of sentinel and a flash agent. The sentinel player will first place their info utility to tell you the moment that the enemies are close, and then once the trap triggers, you'll throw a flash, and then you will pick yourself up 1, 2, maybe even 3 kills in some situations. This is a really basic trap setup that you'll see is usable in so many situations. Here's an angle that Teets taught me. Basically, it's just right outside of hookah. You'll play next to this box and collect your free headshots as players are approaching site. You probably want somebody watching along though while you do this. Over on the other side of the map, here is an incredibly obnoxious off angle in showers that has never failed me. For a lot of these angles, I even like to crouch just to throw off the enemy's crosshair placement even more. If you're wondering about the logic behind a lot of these angles, they basically are just intended to catch players off guard between common angles that they would clear. Think of clearing an angle like you're going down a checklist. You check box number 1, you check box number 2, and as you're checking box number 3, you realize some sly dog put a box number 2.5. Alright, I don't think anybody has ever seen a box 2.5 on a checklist. This was a weird analogy. Anyway, next angle. Angle number 5 is on Icebox, and I'm actually afraid to share this one with you because people might start using it against me. But if you're able to lurk your way through kitchen on Icebox, you're already in a pretty good position. But if you can go just a little bit further and cross to this side of kitchen, you can get yourself a perfect off angle to catch players off guard. Now, while it is a little riskier to get to this position, I don't think I've died to somebody here ever. While players are clearing the deep corner in kitchen, you'll collect yourself a free kill and likely win that round. Speaking of free kills, this next one is actually incredibly aggressive, but super underutilized right now. At the start of the round on A-Site Icebox, it's normally a dash to see which team can get in position the fastest. Common spots players expect are on top of generator, maybe pipes, or rafters. Sometimes players take the zip line and even try to sneak their way into nest. But what if instead of going into nest, we actually go to the left side of nest into jail? From this position, you wait for a quick headshot, and then you could turn your attention towards the rest of their team, a bit confused for some more frags. To get here, all you need to do is run up until about the ultimate orb, and then just walk from there. You'll catch a timing where they shouldn't really be able to hear you, nor can they see you. And now you've secured yourself likely 2 free kills. Shifting gears over towards Haven, this box and garage is incredibly underutilized and normally at least 1 free kill. Unfortunately, you can't play this spot on every single agent, but for agents that you can, it's absolutely worth it and I highly recommend. There's also a bunch of other boxes you can play like this that I recommend, just like this one, but I would probably feel like I'm scamming you if I told you every single box that you can play on, so yeah, just remember these exist. A lot of this map relies on team play though to create setups, so here's 2 setups that are really strong over on the A site to secure a few rounds. The first one is in short. All you need to do is have one player on top of short to bait, and then the other one playing in either of the corners. The first player will jiggle just to make contact and then pull their crosshairs, and then the other player will fight with them, and bada bing bada boom, you've won yourself a round. You can do the same thing over at long, you just need one player to cross at the start, and then you're good to go. Generally for plays like this, it's nice to have a duelist be the player in the riskier position, as they can oftentimes get out if things get frisky a lot easier. Lastly, for Haven over on the B site, there's an off angle that I like to play to catch off lurkers. You're not quite peeking the entrance, so you're not going to get swung or anything, but sometimes as numbers dwindle down, players will think that they have a timing and walk right into your crosshairs. Easiest kill of your life. Let's head on over to Ascent now though, probably one of the most basic maps in the game, but still one of the best for matchmaking. Lots of potential for solo plays here. Starting out on defense, you can push out a B main if you're playing a duelist and collect some free kills for just standing in the middle of nowhere. Players just love to run straight out here, and you'll probably want to aim a little wider to compensate for that, but it's pretty commonly free kills for duelist players. Similarly, over in tree, you can play this angle that just catches any catwalk player off guard. Another catwalk angle that I like to play is in the corner on top of this box. For some reason, people still don't clear this very well. However, I've always wanted to experiment with playing below the box just to throw off any players who might. Like I said, I never really needed to mix it up because playing on top of the box works every time anyway, but if this video gets too many views, you'll know where to find me. Oh, and before we move on to the next map, here's 2 funny angles I like to play towards market in specific situations. The first is if my team has B site and somehow I find myself deep in market. For some reason, this corner is just deep enough to tuck your gun in and nobody will ever see you here. This second spot is in case the enemy team is funneling in through market. They're going to exit market one of 2 ways. The first is by clearing the corner to the right, at which point you'll be aiming at the back of their head. The second is by clearing logs, at which point your head will be a mile above where they're aiming, and once again, you'll get a free kill. These are both pretty niche, but I've gotten enough use out of them to include them on this list. Alright, what map do you guys want to do next? I hope you said Breeze, because on Breeze there is a really fun box I like to utilize on defense. The timing here isn't perfect, but it's near perfect, and if you jump out of nest, you'll make it here pretty much before anybody can peek you. Sometimes if they run to the right, they'll see you, so just be aware for that.
There you are, you little shit.
From this position, if anyone, and I mean anyone, tries to exit elbow, you will get a free kill. Or you can even peek out towards mid and see if you can catch somebody walking out aimlessly. The sites on Breeze are a little more tough since they're so open, but 2 basic crossfires you can set up with your teammates are actually right at the entrances of the sites. B site and A site both pretty effectively force enemies to walk into a 50-50, at which point you can just mow players down. This isn't even too hard to communicate, and since most teams for whatever reason are allergic to mid on Breeze, you'll surely shut down pushes like no other from here. All you need is for the first player who makes contact with the drone to shoot it so that the enemies try to swing out and trade out the kill. When they swing, they'll be swinging straight into a crossfire, and it's free kills from there. Last but not least, if you want free rounds, when your team on offense goes A, just go lurk elbow, man. People make so much noise on this map when they're rotating because it's so large. If people rotate through mid, you will hear them and you will pick up a free kill, and if they don't, you'll just push nest and win that way. This map is so huge. Take advantage of it. Moving over towards Fracture, it's pretty easy to collapse on a team in A main. All you gotta do is abuse the door. Use one player to bait the enemy team into A main, and then once they're in, the door player opens fire and the other player swings. Easiest kills of your life. Another cheeky combo that I like to do here, since Brimstone and Breach are both very meta on this map, is if you have your Brimstone ult available, wait until you hear them pushing up here, concuss the whole entryway, and pick up free kills with Brim ult. And yes, this is as easy as it sounds. Finally, for A site, here's a cool off angle from drop. Regardless of what direction players come from, this is generally good for 1. My friend Lucas is going to be very upset that I'm showing you this, so please leave a like on this video so that I can feel a little bit better about myself. Moving over towards the B side, here's 2 strong off angles that you can play. The first is only really usable on a duelist and primarily while offing. This angle is nice because it's protected from arcade, and as soon as you get a kill, you can just dismiss or dash or teleport back into canteen, and you're free from being traded. Just a few feet away, you can actually play underneath the staircase, and this is a great angle to catch players off guard as they're trying to peek tower. Lastly, you can also play behind these green boxes, but they're a little bit more common. Finally, we're moving on to our last map. On Split, there are a ton of off angles that you can play, so we'll just try to cover them all quickly. Over in B main, sometimes rather than peeking it, I just like to sit in the tunnel and crouch and then wait for somebody to think they're safe to push up. As always, this works best with a duelist, so make sure you're not just getting yourself traded out by playing here, but if you want something a bit more safe, I sometimes like to play back in this corner on site. If they find out that you're here, you'll probably get in a little bit of trouble, but most of the time if they push here or try to lurk in, you're good for 1 or 2. Over towards mid, if you play in this corner in mailroom and have somebody bait for you, it's almost 100% of the time good for 1 round in a game. I like to use this with a judge on eco rounds, but I mean, like, it works with a rifle too. One of my absolute favorite setups to do on this map is actually just a few feet back. All it takes is a flash and 2 players. Basically, you wait for them to start pushing into B heaven, you have 1 player on stairs and the other one on rafters. When they start pushing in, you have the rafters player flash into heaven, and then you have the stairs player swing with you. You will put the enemy team into a blender and collect your free kills. Moving over towards the A side, this site is your best friend if you have a flash. Just sit on site behind this blue boy, and if they start to try to push you, throw a flash, and then you peek out, and then you get some free kills. The best part is, if you don't kill them the first time, you can just flash again, and they're not going anywhere. And then lastly, I have one more setup for B site. I saved this one for last because it's to counter a very common sage wall strategy. If you ever see the enemy team using a sage wall to get out of B main, this is really easily punishable. The reason this sucks is because it funnels an entire team into a small area. So what you want to do is wait for this to happen, and then you hit them with flashes, smokes, mollies, stuns, literally anything. If you expect them to do this, you can pretty easily shut down the entire push. On Cypher, I even have some setups where I put tripwires specifically to kill them when they do this. Trust me when I say that this sage wall is normally a really bad idea.
That's all we got for our video today, but remember that if you're really looking to improve at Valorant, I highly recommend checking out SkillCapped.com. We get it, you're just a player trying to get better at the game. That's why you're watching this video in the first place. You're capable of hitting that rank you deserve, but there's no shame in asking for a little help. At SkillCapped.com, we spend hours going through viewer-submitted replays to let you know all the mistakes that you're making. We also couple this with our Smurf commentaries to show players that it is possible to carry themselves out of whatever rank they're stuck in. It might seem hopeless at times, but trust me when I say we can help you out. All you have to do is check out SkillCapped.com. Link in the description below.